Today, I want to talk about the internet's enemy number one, the most wanted woman in town, Amber Heard. We're going to be talking about the scandal between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And my stance here today before you, my internet boo-boos, is that Amber Heard does not deserve the vitriol and the hatred that she has been receiving. There's hardly any videos out there on her. I see very little stuff out there. YouTube is incel territory, so it is what it is. Let's get into it. Let's get into the timeline first. If you're new to the internet and you want to know what's been going on the internet recently, it's all been about Depp and Heard. This is the quick timeline. So Amber Heard was a young actress when they met in 2009 or 2008. Don't quote me on the exact, I think it was 8 or 9. 2009, Rum Diary was produced. So they met on set of Rum Diary. There's a whole story to that too. Probably for a different video, but Depp had a lot to do in terms of the hire. He's testified so in court as well. Depp took a liking to her. They had a lot of chemistry. She was married at the time. He was married at the time. They both had partners. 2009, Amber Heard would have been 22, I think, early 20s. Kind of creepy, and Johnny Depp was a middle-aged boomer, so just saying, I think he's exactly twice her age. Definitely old enough to be her father, and that in itself should be a red flag to the internet, but I guess it's not. It's still perfectly accepted in 2022. But this is the quick timeline, so I'm not going to get into the details of this. I will come back to this later in the video, or maybe in a whole other video. We'll see. But they met. He was a much older man with a lot of power in the industry. She was a young girl. By 2012, there was a lot of stuff going on between them, and they both had separated from their partners, presumably, predominantly for other reasons, although maybe this was a factor too. I can only speculate on that. I don't know that part. I don't think anyone really knows. Johnny Depp famously was married to Vanessa Paradis for many years. They had children together. It was like a whole established marriage. Amber also had what seemed a pretty stable and loving marriage. I forget her partner's name, but she seems like a very interesting, beautiful person. So that's just my opinion. Anyway, they did get together and they started dating in 2012. By 2015, they were getting married. It was this like whole to-do. They got married, and 18 months after the wedding, Amber Heard filed for divorce, and she also got a restraining order on Johnny because she didn't, she said she didn't feel safe. Well, I mean, probably didn't feel like she wanted to see him if she got a restraining order on him. And then the scandal started. So sometime after, Amber did an op-ed in the Washington Post where she talks about her experiences as the recipient of DV and other things not so nice happening to her. I don't want to say the words, you know, the A word and all the other essay and stuff like that, because I want to get this video seen by people, okay? So we'll have to do the YouTube newspeak on this. But you know what I'm talking about. So she talked about her experience with DV and, you know, other types of A's, you know, and how in the context of Hollywood, it's so normalized, and she had many such experiences, and one of those experiences was DV. She never names Johnny Depp by name, but it's kind of, you can take it as something that's implied. The newspapers ran with it, and a lot of newspapers around the world talked about this topic, and they did identify Johnny as the person who was doing the DV because they put two and two together, and famously, The Sun in the United Kingdom published a whole article where they called Johnny Depp a wife beater, okay? And that was like whole to do. So Johnny Depp got a little bit peeved by this. He was like, you can't call me that. I am not a wife beater. This is all alleged by Ms. Heard, and I'm going to take you to court. So he sued The Sun. Actually, he sued the company behind The Sun newspaper in the United Kingdom, and also he sued Amber Heard, in Virginia, in a Virginia court pertaining to the Washington Post article. Both of these lawsuits are about libel. So this is all about Johnny Depp alleging that the thing she says never happened, and therefore it's libel when the newspapers talk about it, when these magazines publish these articles. And that's kind of it. It was a very volatile relationship. There's a reason why a restraining order was put on him. There's a reason why they got divorced, and there's a reason why we're still talking about it all these years later. This is like the short kind of what happened here. But there's so much more. Obviously, if you're following the drama, it is pretty intense. But I want to start out with clarifying some facts regarding Johnny and Amber, because the whole thing that's in the news right now is all the kind of spicy, dishy contents of their marriage and their relationship prior to the actual official marriage, how there was a lot of, them throwing things at each other and doing things at each other. Johnny Depp alleges that not only was he not the perpetrator of DV, he was the recipient of DV from Amber Heard.
The world, Johnny. Tell them, Johnny Depp, Johnny Depp, a man, I'm a victim too of domestic violence.
I said yes, I am.
And Amber, of course, is alleging the opposite. Amber Heard was also alleging SA having been perpetrated on her by Johnny Depp. So it's a whole thing, and it's being played out in the Virginia courts right now.
I don't know how much time passed, but at some point he had a broken bottle up against my face, neck area by my jawline, and he told me he'd carve up my face. He had me by the neck, and he felt like he was on top of me, and I'm looking at him in his eyes, and I don't see him anymore.
We're having a break in court for a week, so this is going to be, this video will be landing in this gap between the court cases, and I'll probably be doing updates as we go along. But I do feel that Amber Heard does not have a voice on the internet. I do feel like it is not a fair fight, because number one, the internet is predominantly on YouTube, definitely incels, and number two, Johnny Depp, in my opinion, is playing dirty, and I'll get into why, and I'll get into why I'm supporting Amber Heard as we go along. So first of all, there's a lot of misconceptions online regarding what actually is happening in court and what happened in court previously. So a lot of people are repeating the same kind of misleading factoid. They're not even factoids, they're just plain lies being repeated over and over again. So I hear a lot of people say Amber Heard lied and it's proven. That is simply not the case. There is nothing that Amber Heard has said that's been proven to be literally nothing. There's obviously always going to be discrepancies when it comes to the memory, the specifics of memories for victims and perpetrators or witnesses. So obviously no one can recall everything 100% exactly as it happened, like it's a movie. But Amber Heard is not known to have lied or perjured herself in any way so far. In fact, the UK judgment, which was pretty stern, that was the judge's ruling in the UK court case, that the term wife beater was appropriate for Johnny Depp because the judge found that on 12 occasions out of the 14 presented in that particular case, based on the testimony of Johnny Depp, his witnesses, and the deposition by Amber Heard, and also her testimony and the testimony of people involved, it was clear to the judge that on at least 12 out of 14 of these incidents between Depp and Heard, Depp did use physical force against her, and at least on one occasion, I believe that was pertaining to the scandal that happened in Australia with the missing finger. On that occasion, the UK judge said that he believed that Amber Heard was afraid for her life, and that incidents where Amber Heard was had herself admitted to striking back were genuine incidents where it was because she was afraid, and she was either afraid for her life or afraid for her safety, and she had no choice but to defend herself, and that was the ruling of the UK judge. I should also say that another point of contention in that UK court case was the point regarding Johnny Depp saying that Amber Heard was a gold digger, and the judge specifically addressed this point in the UK court case in the ruling, saying that the term gold digger is not appropriate for Amber Heard, and there is no evidence that she was in fact after his money, or was in any way that it was appropriate in any way to characterize her as a gold digger. That's really important because that's something that comes up a lot when it comes to Amber Heard, people talking ish about her. When it comes to the UK ruling, a lot of people suggest two things when it comes to that to try and derail it. So a lot of people say the ruling was unfair because the judge had kind of 6 degrees of separation to the Sun newspaper itself. That may be so. These types of links are going to, they do happen with people in power, with people in administration. London is a very small town. this was whatever the link was between the judge. I believe the judge's son had at some point worked in a context where the Sun newspaper was involved, something like that. The courts did not view this as grounds for any kind of doubt or conflict of interest. You can say whatever you want about the justice system. There's certain types of kind of obvious, points of contention where if there really was a conflict of interest in a case this public, it probably would have caused more concern in the UK courts. Also, Johnny Depp did have a chance to appeal this judgment. Everyone has the chance to appeal. It was pretty much a case of him trying to appeal and the court saying you can't appeal this case because there's no grounds for appeal.
Case is unappealable in London. Now, I understand from PR terms why Depp's legal team would want to say that they're appealing because it casts some shadow of doubt over the current verdict. But I'm here to tell you that verdict is solid, that is unappealable, and that Depp can ask, it's his right to ask for an appeal, but he won't get it and he won't win.
So basically, Johnny Depp went to court in 2020 in the United Kingdom. He alleged all of these things, that the Sun newspaper was libeling him, that he was not a wife beater, that Amber Heard was lying, that it was a hoax, that she was a gold digger. And the judge said, no, she's not a gold digger. Don't be ridiculous. You are a wife beater because you did strike your wife. I believe you, former wife. We believe her. She is a victim of DV, and no matter how much money you have, no matter how much power you have, you cannot get away with that stuff in a UK court. And it's interesting because in the United Kingdom, when it comes to libel, the burden of proof is not on the plaintiff. The burden of proof is on the defendant. So the Sun newspaper, the company behind the Sun newspaper, the burden of proof was upon them to prove that they didn't actually libel themselves. So it's basically much easier for someone like Johnny Depp to win a court case in the United Kingdom, and he lost it. He still lost it, and he kind of lost it pretty drastically and dramatically. So I hope this clears up some of the doubts and misconceptions regarding the UK court case. This was a real legal trial that happened. I don't know why people are refusing to believe in it. People are pretending like it didn't happen, but it did happen. And say whatever you want about the UK. I'm not a fan necessarily, but they really made a point when this was happening of saying, well, you can't, even if you're Johnny Depp, you cannot get away with this stuff. In the United Kingdom, we're not swayed by Hollywood culture. We're not swayed by celebrity. We're going to make a judgment based on the evidence, and we're going to make it fair. We're going to make it fair to all parties involved.
It is a landmark moment for survivors of domestic abuse. I think that what it shows very clearly is that it doesn't matter how much money you've got, how much power you've got, how many fans you've got. If you're an abuser, you're going to be found out.
So this is the long and the short of the UK court case. Definitely public opinion at the time seems, to me at least, to have started with cheering on Depp and all of this stuff. And then slowly but surely, it became quite clear that a lot of stuff was coming out that made it clear that this was a case of DV, but definitely Depp was not the victim here. And a lot of spokespeople, like I showed clips already, but it's just a lot of opinion makers, spokespeople, a lot of people came forward at the time saying how important it is to show that no matter how much power you hold, no matter how important you are, no matter how many fans you have, justice is justice. And it kind of terrifies me that this is completely lost on the internet right now, and people are so quick to say, oh, she lied, she this, she that. No, it's the other way around. I'm sure the judge was not happy with the fact that this came to court in the first place, because this was a clear, in the eyes of the UK law, this was a clear case of someone who was committing DV, turning the tables. A lot of people who commit the A word on other people will do that. The A person, sorry, I can't say the word. The A person, I mean, I can, but I just, I don't want to curse this video, but the A person will very often turn the tables and say, no, you're the A person. So Anyway, that was the opinion here. That was an actual legal ruling. There were no grounds for appeal, and you can say the courts here are in some way biased. You can say that, like you can allege it, allegedly. I don't believe that when it comes to the Depp case. I don't believe that at all. But even if you say that the court was biased or the judge was biased, that in itself would have been grounds for appeal. This case was, as we've heard before, unappealable. And that's it. That was the case. It's so simple. And yet I keep hearing, oh, Amber Heard lied. He never lied. That court case was so, it was rigged and all of that. It really wasn't. He had every opportunity to show his case and to argue his case. And I cannot stress this enough. It's way easier to win a libel case in the UK than it is, and even in Virginia now. And there's a reason why Depp took Amber to court in Virginia. At the time, libel laws were a little bit different, and it looked much better than it would do in California. That's changed now too, so it may not be as easy and as plain sailing for him to make any kind of case right now as he seemed to believe. Legally speaking, at least legally speaking, people, get your facts straight and stop saying horrible things about Amber Heard. She didn't take him to court. She did not make this public case out of this. She never named him by name. And it seems like everything she said in the Washington op-ed is true. If you just look at the way this man is pursuing this woman, despite the fact that he lost in the UK, it was an embarrassment to him the way he lost it. The fact that he couldn't appeal is bad enough. He still takes it to the Virginia court, and he still makes it into this public circus. Now, the one thing about the UK case, she didn't have to testify in public regarding some of the more gruesome parts of this relationship. This time she does have to. It's a reality show, and we're all seeing the terrible things that are coming out about Johnny Depp. So if he thought he would, these are the actions of an obsessed, bitter old man who just had all the power in the world, and yet all the power in the world could not intimidate and could not destroy the beautiful, fiery soul that is inside of Amber Heard. And I stand with Amber Heard on this. Stop talking ish about her and stop misrepresenting the facts. That's what I have for you today. If you have a hate you would like to leave me, you can conveniently do that below. If you hate me enough, you probably want to subscribe too. Turn on that notification button. Make sure it's turned on for all notifications so you never miss a video regarding how much I love Amber Heard. And if you agree with me, thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. And I'll see you next time.